Thanks to RIU, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Look, fantastic to be here. I think it's probably fantastic for everybody. My last conference was the RIU in February of this year, so it's great to see a few familiar faces around. So first up, I'll just give you a quick corporate snapshot. So, look, we've had a really good run this year, there's no doubt about it. We're hovering between that $40 million and $50 million market cap. We did a recent raising at 5.5 cents and we brought in $1.4 million. We now got 3.5 in the bank. Share price, I think, sitting at around 15 cents yesterday. Recent changes to my board. Like we said, I've stepped up to Managing Director. I'm also really pleased to have Ray Shorrocks on board as my non-exec chair. But look, I believe that AQI is a great company if you're looking for a punt on a small company with great ambitions. And look, I hope that by the end of this presentation you'll feel the same way. So why invest in Alicanto? Look, I want investors to take four things away from my presentation this morning. So we've got a great location, great project, great opportunities and a great team. So as far as the location is concerned, so the Greater FALUN project, it's a copper gold project. It's located in Sweden's Tier 1 mining region of Bergslagen, and that hosts world-class base and precious metals deposits such as the Garpenberg zinc gruven and the now closed FALUN mine. Bergslagen, look, it's really famous amongst geos for being one of the most mineralised places on Earth. I guess I'll show you a little bit about my background and coming up. I'm a mining engineer from Kalgoorlie, which I find the first two presentations really fascinating, but I've gone about as far away from Kalgoorlie as I possibly can with this new company. But my background is as a mining engineer, and I spent 6-7 years working up in this part of the world, so I know these projects very well, and I know the people very well. Second of all, look, a great project. So look, we've had a major breakthrough with the discovery of copper gold skarn mineralisation at Wolf Mountain, distal as it was, but also proximal at Lustebul. So we had that success in February, actually during the last RIU conference. Look, and even at Lustebul, we had some amazing grades of 9.5% copper, 16 grams of gold, 285 of silver, 3.9 of lead, 8.2 of zinc. Look, these are real all-weather type grades. But the interesting thing was that we realised at that time that the Greater FALUN project is not VMS as what had traditionally been thought of. And there's 1,000 years of history going back here, but as I mentioned, we now believe that we're dealing with a copper gold skarn. Nearly all the targets are located next to or within the 70 kilometres of limestone-hosted mineralised horizon that we've discovered since we've been here in 12 months. And this same limestone ore horizon, mineralised horizon, that contains a 28 million tonne FALUN mine. That had some absolutely amazing grades in itself, and I'll come to that later. Great opportunities. Look, we've highlighted more than 10 priority targets that we've identified since January of this year, and new targets being developed all the time. 4,000 metre drilling program starts today. We've actually about 8 metres down our first hole. So hopefully we're starting to get some good results coming out of that. And as mentioned at the start, a great team and entrepreneurial board. I've already mentioned Ray, fantastic guy to have on board with his Bellevue and Orteco experience. Myself, 25 years experience running mines and being involved in exploration projects, as well as being a mineral economist and spending 6 years working in Sweden. But probably most importantly is being Eric Lundström, being our chief geologist. So Eric and I actually started in Boliden Limited, same day, 1995 as graduates. He stayed on to be chief geologist for the company and has had 6 major discoveries in his own right. When I went to him a couple of years ago and asked him to come over and find some for himself, he jumped on the opportunity, and here we are a year or two later. So just finishing off on the board and management. So there's Ray and myself. Didier, who's our former non-executive chair, has stepped down to just being a non-exec director, but a wealth of experience. I've also a few familiar names in there, being Mike Naylor as our CFO and company secretary, and I've got Steve Parsons in there as a corporate consultant helping me out. So Sweden, a Tier 1 mining jurisdiction. Look, for those who don't know much about Sweden, I'm probably one of the more fortunate people around that's been allowed or been able to live and work in both countries. And I have to say that Australia and Sweden are my two favourite places to work, without a doubt. Both Tier 1 mining jurisdictions, but people probably don't hear that much about Sweden. And, rightly so. The Swedes don't stand on a soapbox and talk about themselves very much. But, these guys have been mining for 1,000 years. Or more. We buy all of our mining, all the mining equipment basically comes from Sweden. But proof's in the pudding, I guess. And if you look at the key infrastructure that's already in place, I already have accessibility and transport. Road, rail, airports, and harbours, all right on the property. Resources, we've got hydropower, abundance of fresh water, no salt, high-speed communications, and a highly educated and pro-mining workforce. And all this only 2.5 hours from Stockholm, being the capital city. And I guess we're going to concentrate on the mining areas within Sweden. Sorry. So you go to the north of the country, and you've got the big government mines, the big LKAB iron ore mines in the north, and the big 40 million tonne per annum copper gold project up there with Boliden. You've also got the Boliden mines in and around the Skellefteå field, where I spend a fair amount of my time, and then more around the Stockholm area, you've got the Bergslagen district, as mentioned, and we've got some really huge projects in here, being the Garpenberg mine. There's been nearly 40 million tonnes mined in here at some fantastic grades. The Zinkgruvan mine, which you would have heard about in the past, used to be owned by North. And then, of course, the FALUN mine, which was closed down in 1992, 28 million tonnes mined at 4% copper, 4 grams per tonne gold, 35 grams of silver, 5% lead and 2%. So 5% zinc, 2% lead. Again, real all-weather ore bodies. So moving on to the Greater FALUN project. As I mentioned, the FALUN project itself closed down in 1992, which is a very important date because that was when the law changed in Sweden. Prior to that, you needed to be a Swede or a Swedish company to actually own tenements within the country. And really, since then, this entire area it's been underexplored. It hasn't been explored with modern methods. It's been held by a couple of people that have poked a few holes here and there, but this is the first time today that we can say a 4,000 metre significant program's going into the ground in and around the area. As I mentioned, we've got multiple new targets that have come about, and I'll come into that in the next couple of slides where I talk about the cracking the code. But in essence, we've found some amazing grades at the Lustibel. That was only 75 metres from surface. Wolf Mountain, we found, I've written here proximal. It's going to be distal copper skarn, but we've got 11.9% copper, 2.9 grams per tonne gold at surface. The discovery of distal skarn at Wolf Mountain led us on a path where we've pegged some more ground. We've gone from 150 square kilometres up to over 300 square kilometres now, and in that process we've found numerous proximal copper gold skarns at surface, never before been drilled. So just to give you an idea, there's the FALUN copper gold mine itself. Those white lines that you can see there, that's our limestone-hosted mineralised horizon that I mentioned to you before. So we now have over 70 kilometres that we have witnessed this horizon at surface. All of our targets sit along the same mineralised zone. And 3 kilometres into the west there, we've got the Whitgruvan mine, which I think had an average grade of about 38% zinc and up to 10% copper, mined out in 1904. It's never been drilled since. So I mentioned before cracking the code. So what have we done differently? Look, as I mentioned, we had a major breakthrough in the beginning of the year, and I was at the RIU conference. Actually, I had Eric over from Sweden, and I was due to present that day, and I was getting text messages at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning from a very excited geologist telling me that he'd found rocks he'd been looking for 25 years. I told him to go to bed, but got up that next day and we had a good look through what we were dealing with, and it really has sort of turned the whole concept of what we're dealing with on the head. And if you know anything about copper gold skarns, so that diagram there, what it does is it really helps us with our exploration. So not only do we have a 70 kilometres of limestone mineralised zone that we can track its surface, which helps with exploration. We also know that whenever we find a rock at surface, or if we put a drill hole down, the zonations for the copper gold skarns helps us to vector into where we want to get to. And where we want to get to is the proximal part of the copper gold skarn. So as mentioned at Wolf Mountain, we were in the distal part, so we've proceeded with doing a much larger IP survey at Wolf Mountain, which is complete. We're just waiting on the results to be interpreted now, and I'll come out with some information on that in the next month. But that also, again, led us to the Hareton deposit, where we found proximal copper gold skarn at surface, and we're finding all over the place now that we know what we're looking for. So Wolf Mountain, as mentioned, I won't go into too much detail, but that rock down there in the bottom left, that came out at 11.9% copper. We've also had 2.9 grams per tonne gold at surface. Distal copper skarn mineralisation, as mentioned, set us down a path where we've discovered multiple copper gold skarns. Expanded IP surveys now complete. Look, this is still a very important part of the story. We're quite away from where we want to be as far as the proximal part of the mineralisation, but some of the images that I'm seeing are just mind-blowing. So I look forward to talking about that later. Listable, again, so this was drilling that we did last year. We had some absolutely amazing grades, 9.5% copper, 16 grams of gold, 285 of silver, 3.9 of lead and 8.2 of zinc. Only over a couple of metres, but this was located within the limestone-hosted mineralised zone, quite away from FALUN, but on the same structure. But but also more importantly, copper gold skarn. So definitely a target that we're going to be coming back to in the near future. So the 4,000 metre diamond drilling program started today. As mentioned, we're into our first hole. Look, this is the largest program ever in the Greater FALUN area, so we're really looking forward to drilling this thing out over the next 4 months, and I expect that we'll be continuing into the new year. We've been very fortunate to gain access to a significant amount of private and state airborne mag surveys that we've collated in the same place for the first time ever. This, combined with the ground mag, airborne EM and ground EM, is painting an impressive geophysical picture over our entire tenement package. Again, never been seen before. But then when we also combine all of that information with the other 2,000 old workings and and outcrops that we've visited during the last 12 months, this whole area is just really opening up like a Pandora's box. So seriously looking forward to the next 6 to 12 months. On the ongoing news flow, look, just to finish off, look, drilling started today. We expect to be drilling at least to the end of the year for a cost of around about $600,000 Aussie. We've got $3.5 million in the bank, so we're fully funded and itching to get at these highly prospective targets. But look, as I mentioned, 4 things that I want investors to take away from this presentation: a great location, great project, great opportunities, and a great team. And I think that's what we're all looking for. And if you'd like to know more, I'll be at the booth. So I hope to see you there. Thank you very much.